Hi there. Welcome back to our Cascading Style Sheet course here on ontrackTV. Today we're going to be looking at the basics of cascading style sheets. Specifically, we're going to be looking at the syntax and structure and the way you need to actually type your rules in the CSS file in order to get them to work. There are three parts to it. We have our selector, which is the target for the styling, our property, which is the aspect of the styling that you want to change, and then the value, which, as you can imagine, is the value of the style that you want to change. So for example, if you wanted to set the background color of a paragraph, paragraph would be the selector, background color would be the property, and for instance, blue would be the value of the background color. These are contained within curly brackets as well. But look, enough talk from me, let's dive straight into the lesson. So the syntax of a CSS rule set consists of a selector on the left-hand side and then a declaration block. So here on my screen on the left-hand side, the selector is the heading 1, and then the declaration block is everything to the right of that. A declaration block contains one or more declarations separated by a semicolon. So in this case, the heading 1 has a declaration for the color blue and a font size 12. Each declaration, i.e. the color and the colon then blue, the left-hand side is the property, that is what you want to style, what you want to change, and the value then for whatever that property is, separated by a colon. Each of these declarations ends with a semicolon, and the entire declaration block has curly brackets or curly braces around the edges. So just to give you an example of how you would write this out, a selector, which we'll be looking at in more detail in the following lesson, can be used to target a HTML element or certain attributes in a HTML element and then choose it for styling. So let's say I wanted to style a paragraph. I would just use the element P, open the curly brackets, and then I would put in a property and a value. So for instance, let's say background dash color, then we have a colon, and then the value, which in this case I could have something like red. The last thing to do then is to end it with a semicolon. That in entirety is a perfectly valid selector and declaration block along with the various property and value in the center. And you can have as many declarations as you want within a declaration block. It's completely up to yourself. This as a whole is a CSS rule set, and you can have many of these in an entire CSS file. So again, we could have H1 and we might have font size 20 pixels. Okay. Now, one extra thing I'm going to show you is that of adding comments to your CSS files. So comments are useful for when you want to add some kind of clarity to what's going on inside in your document. They are ignored by browsers, so they're just simple text for humans, developers, whoever's looking or inspecting the code to understand what's going on with your rules. This is especially useful when you're using classes and IDs, which we'll be looking at in the next lesson, as selectors. So simply put, to make a comment, it's a / and a star, which is gotten by shift and the number key 8. And then to close it, it is star and then / so the inverse. And you can even see here in Notebook++ that it styles comments as green. So any text, this is a sample CSS rule set. Any text in between these two markers will be a comment. And it's also useful because it can be multi-lined as well. So I can put in some extra text here and it will still be included within the text itself. That is rule sets and comments within CSS. So that lesson covered the basics of syntax and structure of a CSS rule within your CSS file. Simply put, you will use a selector to choose what you want to style. You'll want to then pick a property, which is the aspect of the styling, and then the value is the value associated to the aspect you're looking to style. So we saw background color for a paragraph, and the value was blue, for instance. In the next lesson, we're going to be looking at what we can actually use as selectors, because all we saw at the moment was the HTML tags, but there are two other aspects you can use for the selector as well. But thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.